अष्टोत्तरशतश्मद् श्रील भक्तिवेदांत नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्मद् श्रील भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्मद् श्रील भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्मद् श्रील भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्मद् श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्रील गोक्षरस बाबूजी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट श्रील सच्चिदानंद श्रील भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्रील जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूप नो गौरिया गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल पतदास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विराट गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री मुनि देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी गमाय की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणीति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिशे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तरभक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तम् अनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूत हृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृदन्तस्तो ह्यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासारि गौर भक्त वृंदा। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dandavat pranams Gargaraji, Madhavi Didi, Rupanjari Didi. Okay, you have to duck out early, no problem. And Amanda, I don't know if you have another name, but Amanda, and Champak Didi, Ganga Didi, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Indira Mataji. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Right. Can we do a class on Jiva Tattva, Prajumna Prabhu? If we are able to do a class on Jiva Tattva, it'd have to be after Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj's appearance day. So it'd have to be, beginning of January. But Sundar Gopal Prabhu's presentation is like all you need, I think. All right, so Chitraketu, well, this is a previous chapter, or what we just finished yesterday. Chitraketu laughs at Lord Shiva. Chitraketu, traveling in the valleys of Mount Sumeru, once saw Lord Shiva sitting in an assembly of sages while embracing Parvati on his lap. Chitraketu expressed his wonder to see this. Lord Shiva and the other sages remained silent. Chitraketu was thinking himself a better controller of the senses than Lord Shiva. Then Mother Parvati, she chastises and curses Chitraketu. She says, "Has this upstart been appointed to restrain shameless persons like us?" Being sarcastic. I suppose other demigods and sages don't know dharma. Chitraketu must be punished for his impudence. He doesn't deserve shelter at the Lord's lotus feet. My dear son, become a demon. Then Chitraketu speaks to Mother Parvati. He says, "Oh mother, I can accept this curse. Dualities experienced in various bodies are the results of one's past deeds. No one causes them, and they have no eternal effect. The Lord creates these dualities for the continuation of materialistic life, although he was equal everywhere. Please forgive my improper speech." And then Lord Shiva talks to Parvati. And so this is what we read yesterday. I'll just read from that point on. What time is it? 7:12. Okay, so Lord Shiva talks to Parvati. Then Shiva spoke to Parvati as Narad, the demons, Siddhas, and others listened. Dear beautiful Parvati, have you seen the greatness of the servants of Lord Vishnu who perform astonishing acts? Devotees are not interested in any kinds of material happiness. Note, Parvati's beauty. Oh, 1 second. That's pretty loud, isn't it? The background noise. Let me see if I can shut off the background noise. Let me know if this works good enough. Because they just are starting the, what do you call it? The plow. Oh, it's on already. Okay, so you can probably not hear it. Hopefully. Okay. So note, Lord Shiva indicated that Parvati is beautiful, but the beauty of the devotees is greater. And then note B, Vishnu's astonishing act. He caused Parvati to be offended and utter a curse. He showed the greatness of his devotee Chitraketu, whose prema did not decrease at all, and who remained indifferent even when cursed. Note C. If Parvati's curse cannot give the slightest unhappiness to Chitraketu, then that curse is actually powerless. And Shiva continues, devotees never fear any condition of life. For them, heaven, hell, or liberation are all the same. They are interested only in the service of Lord Narayan. The living entities are conditioned in the material body through the Lord's Maya. The dualities of happiness and distress, birth and death, and curses and blessings are natural byproducts. One identifies with them only due to lack of mature consideration. Bhakti automatically produces knowledge and therefore, devotees are never interested in the so-called happiness and distress of this world. Those who consider themselves independent, separate controllers cannot understand the identity of the Supreme Lord. Even Brahma, I, Shiva, Narad, and great sages cannot. The Lord is affectionate to all. No one is dear to the Lord. No one is dear to him. No one is inimical. No one is his relative, and no one is alien to him. He is actually the soul of all. He is actually the soul of all living entities. Thus, he is the auspicious and dear friend of all. Both Chitraketu and I are very dear to the Lord. So one should not be astonished by seeing the activities of the Lord's devotees, who are peaceful and equal to all. Parvati was pacified hearing her husband's speech. Then she gave up her astonishment at Chitraketu's behavior and became steady in her intelligence. King Chitraketu, although capable, did not counter-curse Parvati, but humbly accepted her curse and bowed before Shiva and Parvati, and then he left. That same Chitraketu later appeared in the sacrifice of Twashta as the demon Vitrasura, endowed with transcendental knowledge and practical realization. Then Shukadeva Goswami offers benedictions. Thus I have explained how Vitrasura was born as a demon, as you had inquired. One who hears about the pure devotee Chitraketu from the devotee will be freed from the conditional life of material existence. One who recites Chitraketu's history in the morning, controlling his words and mind and remembering the Supreme Lord, will certainly go back to Godhead. Okay, so now we're continuing on this is continuing from chapter 6 when we're reading about the descendants of Maharaj Daksha and all his daughters, and his last two daughters were Diti and Aditi, right? And they were among the 17 wives of Kaśyapa, the last two wives of Kaśyapa. And so he already explained many of the descendants of Aditi, but now he's going to describe even more descendants of Aditi, and then he'll describe Diti's descendants. Let's just look very quickly. Desktop. God, I have ants all over me. Okay. So Daksha and Asikni, they had 60 daughters. 10 daughters married Yamaraj, 17 daughters married Kaśyapa, 27 daughters married the moon god, and 2 daughters married Angira, another 2 daughters married Kushashva, and another 2 daughters married Bhuta. And so, let's go back. So the 17 daughters that married Kaśyapa, let's see. So, first 4 wives, Patangi, Yamini, Vinata, Kadru, they gave birth to many kinds of birds, locusts, Garuda, Aruna, and different varieties of serpents. And Kaśyapa's further 10 wives, one was Timi, she gave birth to aquatics, Sarama, she gave birth to ferocious animals, Surabhi gave birth to cows and other animals with cloven hooves, Tamra, eagles, Muni, Apsaras, Krodavasha, serpents, known as the Dandashuka, and also mosquitoes. Ila gave birth to various trees and creepers. Surasa, Rakshasas, Arishta, Gandharvas, Kashta, animals whose hooves are not split. And Kaśyapa and Danu gave birth to 61 sons, of whom 18 were very important. And we read about them. Now we're going to continue on with Kaśyapa and Aditi. We read about their first 12 sons, the 12 Adityas. And through the 12 Adityas, Okay, and of the 12 Adityas, Vivaswan is the sun god. Aryama Matrika Pusha, whose teeth was broken when he was laughing at Shiva, and then Twashta. And Twashta was the father of Vishvarup, who we already heard Vishvarup's whole story, and Twashta. So now we're continuing on. Let's begin. And and what was it? The remaining descendants of Aditi are mentioned in this chapter we're going to read, verses 1 to 9. And Kaśyapa had one more wife, Diti, whose descendants are given on 10 to 19. All right. What time is it? 7:20. If I don't manage to finish our reading today, like if I don't manage, like up to where I wrote, what are we supposed to be reading up to? 41. So if we don't get to verse 41, it's not a problem because tomorrow we don't have that many words to read. So we can just, Okay, Diti vows to kill King Indra. Chapter 18. This chapter gives the history of Diti, the wife of Kaśyapa, and how she followed a vow to have a son who would kill Indra. It also describes how Indra attempted to foil her plan by cutting to pieces the son within her womb. In relation to Twashta and his descendants, there is a description of the dynasty of the Adityas, the sons of Aditi, and other demigods. Prishni, the wife of Aditi's fifth son named Savita, had 3 daughters. Okay, sorry. So Aditi, the wife of Aditi's fifth son named Savita, had 3 daughters, Savitri, Vyahriti, and Trai, and very exalted sons named Agnihotra, Pashu, Soma, Chaturmasya, and the 5 Mahayagyas. Siddhi, the wife of Bhaga, had 3 sons named Mahima, Vibhu, and Prabhu, and she also had 1 daughter whose name was Ashi. Datta had 4 wives, Kuhu, Sinivali, Raka, and Anumati, who had 4 sons named Sayam, Darsha, Prata, and Purnamasa respectively. Kriya, the wife of Vidhata, gave birth to the 5 Purishas, who are representatives of 5 kinds of fire gods. Bhrigu, the mind-born son of Brahma, took his birth again from Charshani, the wife of Varuna, and the great sage Valmiki appeared from Varuna's semen. Interesting. Agastya and Vashishta were 2 sons of Varuna and Mitra. Upon seeing the beauty of Urvashi, Mitra and Varuna discharged semen, which they kept in an earthen pot. From that pot, Agastya and Vashishta appeared. Mitra had a wife named Revati, who gave birth to 3 sons, Utsarga, Arishta, and Pipala. Aditi had 12 sons, of whom Indra was the 11th. Indra's wife was named Polomi, Shachi Devi. So she gave birth to 3 sons, Jayanta, Rishabha, and Midhusha. By his own powers, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as Vamandev. From his wife, whose name was Kirti, appeared a son named Brihat Shloka. Brihat Shloka's first son was known as Sobhaga. This is a description of the sons of Aditi. A description of Aditi Urukrama, who is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will be offered in the 8th canto. Then the demons born of Diti are also described in this chapter. In the dynasty of Diti appeared the great saintly devotee Prahlad. Haribol, the power went out, so I'm just going to continue on my phone until the power comes back. But for some reason, my phone, it doesn't let me, you're just going to have to stare at my face for a little while. Is everybody still there? I think so, yeah. All right, so I'm going to continue reading now. So the demons born of Aditi are also described in this chapter. In the dynasty of Diti appeared the great saintly devotee Prahlad and also Bali, Prahlad's grandson. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were the first sons of Diti. Hiranyakashipu and his wife, whose name was Kayadu, had 4 sons: Sanglada, Anuhlada, Hlada, and Prahlada. Oh, I didn't know about Prahlada's elder brothers. They also had 1 daughter, whose name was Singhika. In association with the demon Viprachit, Singhika bore a son named Rahu, whose head was severed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kirti, the wife of Sanglada, bore a son named Panchajana. Hlada's wife, whose name was Dhamani, gave birth to 2 sons, Vatapi and Ilvala. Ilvala put Vatapi into the form of a ram and gave him to Agastya to eat. Anuhlada, in the womb of his wife, Surya, begot 2 sons, named Bhashkala and Mahisha. Prahlad's son was known as Virochana, and his grandson was known as Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj had 100 sons, of whom Bana was the eldest. After describing the dynasty of the Adityas and the other demigods, Shukadeva Goswami describes Diti's sons known as the Maruts, and how they were elevated to the position of demigods. Just to help Indra, Lord Vishnu had killed Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Because of this, Diti was very envious, and she was eager to have a son who could kill Indra. By her service, she enchanted Kaśyapa Muni in order to beg from him a greater son to do this. In corroboration of the Vedic injunction, Vidvangsam api karshati, Kaśyapa Muni was attracted to his beautiful wife and promised to grant her any request. When, however, she requested a son who would kill Indra, he condemned himself, and he advised his wife Diti to follow the Vaishnava ritualistic ceremonies to purify herself. When Diti, following the instructions of Kaśyapa, engaged in devotional service, Indra could understand her purpose, and he began observing all her activities. One day, Indra had the opportunity to see her deviating from devotional service. Thus he entered her womb and cut her son into 49 parts. In this way, the 49 kinds of air, known as the Maruts, appeared. But because Diti had performed the Vaishnava ritualistic ceremonies, all the sons became Vaishnavas. Alright. Text 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Let me see if I can share my screen. That would be best if you don't have to just be staring at my face. But usually when I try this, it doesn't work. Yeah, see, it just gets stuck. And then it turns black. Yeah, so you're just gonna have to stare at my face. I really need a new phone. All right. Prishnistu patni savito savitrim vyahritin trayim agnihotra pashum somang chaturmasya mahamakan. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, Prishni, who is the wife of Savita, the fifth of the 12 sons of Aditi, gave birth to 3 daughters, Savitri, Vyahriti, and Trai, and the sons named Agnihotra, Pashu, Soma, and Chaturmasya, and the 5 Mahayagyas. I'm just going to be saying a ton of descendants right now. Siddhir Bhaga Sabharyanga Mahimanam Vibhum Prabhum Ashisham Cha Vararoham Kanyam Prasutta Subratam. O king, Siddhi, who is the wife of Bhaga, the 6th son of Aditi, bore 3 sons, named Mahima, Vibhu, and Prabhu, and 1 extremely beautiful daughter whose name was Ashi. One second. Okay. Datu kuhu sunivali rakachanu matistata sayam darsham ata prata purnamasam anukramat agnin purishyana dhatta kriyayam samanantara charshani varunashyasid yasyam jato brigu puna. Datta, the 7th son of Aditi, had 4 wives, named Kuhu, Sinivali, Raka, and Anumati. These wives begot 4 sons, named Sayam, Darsha, and Prata, and Purnamasa, respectively. Sayam means night. Prata means morning. I guess Darsha means day, I'm guessing, but anyways. And then Purnamasa means full moon, right? Anyways. Or the full month. The wife Vidata, the 8th son of Aditi, was named Kriya. In her, Vidata begot the 5 fire gods named the Purishyas. The wife of Varuna, the 9th son of Aditi, was named Charshani. Bhrigu, the son of Brahma, took birth again in her womb. Valmikischa Mahayogi Valmikar Abhavat Kila Agasta Cha Vashishtascha Mitra Varunayo Rishi. By the semen of Varuna, the great mystic Valmiki took birth from an anthill. Bhrigu and Valmiki were specific sons of Varuna, whereas Agastya and Vashishta rishis were the common sons of Varuna and Mitra, the 10th son of Aditi. We'll look at a table also later on just to make this all more clear. Reta shishi chatu kumbe vivasya sanido drutam revatyam mitra utsargam arishtam pipalang vyadhat. Upon seeing Urvasi, the celestial society girl, both Mitra and Varuna discharged semen, which they preserved in an earthen pot. The 2 sons Agastya and Vashishta later appeared from that pot, and they were therefore the common sons of Mitra and Varuna. Mitra begot 3 sons in the womb of his wife, whose name was Revati. Their names were Utsarga, Arishta, and Pipala. Purport. Modern science is trying to generate living entities in test tubes by processing semen. But even long, long ago, it was possible for semen to be kept in a pot to develop a child. Polam yam Indra adatta trin putrani tina shritam jayantam rishabhang tata tritiyam medhusham aprabhu. O King Parikṣit, Indra, the king of the heavenly planets and the 11th son of Aditi, begot 3 sons named Jayanta, Rishabha, and Medhusha in the womb of his wife Polomi. Thus we have heard. Urukramasya devasya maya vaman rupina kirto patnyam prihatlokas tasya sanso bhagadaya. By his own potency, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has multifarious potencies, appeared in the form of the dwarf as Urukram, the 12th son of Aditi. In the womb of his wife, whose name was Kirti, he begot the one son named Brihatshloka, who had many sons headed by Sobhaga. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4:6, Ajopisam avyayatma bhutanam ishvaropisan prakritim sam adhishtaya sambhavam yatmamayaya. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead incarnates, he does not need any help from the external energy, for he appears as he is by his own potency. The spiritual potency is also called Maya. It is said, Ato Maya Mayang, Vishnum Prabhadanti Manishina. The body accepted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Mayaman. This does not mean that he is formed of the external energy. This Maya refers to his internal potency. Tat karma gunaviryani kasyapasya mahatmana paschad vakshya mahe dityam yataiva tataraha. Later, in the 8th canto of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, I shall describe how Urukrama, Lord Vamandev, appeared as the son of the great sage Kaśyapa and how he covered the 3 worlds with 3 steps. I shall describe the uncommon activities he performed, his qualities, his power, and how he took birth from the womb of Aditi. Ata Kaśyapa dayadan daitayan kirtayamite yatra bhagavata shriman prahrado balirevacha. Now let me describe the sons of Diti, who were begotten by Kaśyapa, but who became demons. In this demoniac family, the great devotee Prahlad Maharaj appeared, and Bali Maharaj also appeared in that family. The demons are technically known as Daitas because they proceed from the womb of Diti. Ditir dvav eva dayado daita dana vavandito hiranyakashipur nama hiranyakshas chakirtito. Okay, so we're going through the descendants of Diti now. First, the 2 sons named Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha took birth from Diti's womb. Both of them were very powerful and were worshipped by the Daitas and Danavas. Hiranyakashipur bharya kayadur nama danavi jambasya tanaya satu sushuve chatura sutan sanghridam prag anuhradam hradam prahradamaevacha tatsvasa singhika nama rahum viprachito grahit. The wife of Hiranyakashipu was known as Kayadhu. She was the daughter of Jamba and a descendant of Danu. She gave birth to 4 consecutive sons known as Sanghlada, Anuhlada, Hlada, and Prahlada. The sister of these 4 sons, was known as Singhika. She married the demon named Viparikṣit and gave birth to another demon named Rahu. I didn't know that Rahu. Oh, wait, sorry about that. I don't know why the internet went away. All right, so Rahu is the nephew of Prahlad. Shiro haradhyasa harishchakrena vivato mritam sanghradasya kriti bharya sutta pancha janang tata. While Rahu in disguise was drinking nectar among the demigods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead severed his head. The wife of Sanglada was named Kirti. By union with Sanglada, Kirti gave birth to a son named Panchajana. Radhasya damanir bharya Sutavata ilvalam yogastyaya atityaye teche vata pimi ilvala. The wife of Vlada was named Dhamani. She gave birth to two sons named Vatapi and Ilvala. When Agastya Muni became Ilvala's guest, Ilvala served him a feast by cooking Vatapi, who was in the shape of a ram. He cooked his brother. Yikes. Okay? I'm curious to hear that story in more detail. Anyways. Anuhradasya suryayam bhashkalo mahishastata virochanastu prahradir devyang tasya bhavarbali. So he tried to serve Agastya Muni a feast, but he's like, oops, I cooked my brother. Anyways, okay. The wife of Anuhlad was named Surya. She gave birth to two sons named Bhashkala and Mahisha. Prahlad had one son, Virochana, whose wife gave birth to Bali Maharaj. Banajeshtam putra shatam ashanayam tato bhavat tasyanubhavam shlokyam paschar eva vidhasyate. Thereafter, Bali Maharaj begot 100 sons in the womb of Ashana. Of these 100 sons, King Bana was the eldest. The activities of Bali Maharaj, which are very laudable, will be described later in the 8th canto. Bana aradya girisham leve targana mukyatam yad parshve bhagavanaste yadyapi purapalaka. Since King Bana was a great worshipper of Lord Shiva, he became one of Lord Shiva's most celebrated associates. Even now, Lord Shiva protects King Bana's capital and always stands beside him. Maruts and Diti putrash chatvaringsham navadhika tarasan praja sarve nita indrena satmatam. The 49 Marut demigods were also born from the womb of Diti. None of them had sons. Although they were born of Diti, King Indra gave them a position as demigods. Purport. Apparently, even demons can be elevated to the position as demigods when their atheistic character is reformed. There are two kinds of men throughout the universe: those who are devotees of Lord Vishnu, who are called demigods, and those who are just the opposite and are called demons. Even the demons can be transformed into demigods, as a statement of this verse proves. Uh-oh, my phone's at 5% battery right now. Let me move over. 1 second. I'm gonna, oh shoot. I think, wait 1 second. I have battery. Just let me connect my phone to my battery. Shri Rajavacha Katamta Asuram Bhavam Apotyotpatikam Guru Indrena Prapita Satmyam Kim Tat Sadhu Kritam Hitai. Just give me a second here to connect my phone to my external battery. Why is the power not coming back? Okay. There. All right. Continuing on. So now King Parikṣit inquired, "My dear Lord, due to their birth, the 49 Maruts must have been obsessed with a demoniac mentality. Why did Indra, the king of heaven, convert them into demigods? Did they perform any rituals or pious activities?" Ime shradadate brahman rishayo hi maya saha parigyanaya bhagavansh tano vyakyatumarhasi. My dear Brahman, I and all the sages present with me are eager to know about this. Therefore, O great soul, kindly explain to us the reason. Shri Sutta Uvacha Tar Vishnurattasya Sabhadarayanya Vacho Nishamya Dritamalpamartavat Sabhajayansan Nibritena Chetasa Jagada Satrayana Sarva Darshana. Whoa, I'm confused. It's Parikṣit Maharaj is asking, but now it's going to Sutta Goswami and he's giving a response. Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry guys, just bear with me. Shri Sutta Goswami said, "Oh great sage Shanak, after hearing Maharaj Parikṣit speak respectively and briefly on the topics essential to hear, Shukadev Goswami, who is well aware of everything, praised his endeavor with great pleasure and replied." Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Parikṣit's question was very much appreciated by Shukadev Goswami because although it was composed of a small number of words, it contained meaningful inquiries about how the sons of Diti, although born as demons, became demigods. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur stresses that even though Diti was very envious, her heart was purified because of a devotional attitude. Another significant topic is that although Kaśyapa Muni was a learned scholar and was advanced in spiritual consciousness, he nonetheless fell a victim to the inducement of his beautiful wife. All these questions were posed in a small number of words, and therefore Shukadev Goswami very much appreciated Maharaj Parikṣit's inquiry. Shri Shuka Uvacha Hatta putra Aditi Shakra Parshni Grahena Vishnuna Manyuna Shokadiptena Jvalante Paryachintayat. Shri Shukadev Goswami said, "Just to help Indra, Lord Vishnu killed the two brothers Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu because of their being killed. Because of their being killed, their mother, Diti, overwhelmed with lamentation and anger, contemplated as follows. Kadano bhratrihantaram indriya ramamulbanam aklina hridayam papam ghatayitva shaye sukham. Lord Indra, who is very much fond of sense gratification, has killed the two brothers Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu by means of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, Indra is cruel, hard-hearted, and sinful. When will I, having killed him, rest with a pacified mind? Krimi vid bhasma samgyasid yasya shabhihitasya cha bhuta druk tatkrite svartam kim veda nirayo yata. When dead, the body of all the rulers known as kings and great leaders will be transformed into worms, stool, or ashes. If one enviously kills others for the protection of such a body, does he actually know the true interest of life? Certainly he does not, for if one is envious of other entities, he surely goes to hell. Purport: the material body, even if possessed by a great king, is ultimately transformed into stool, worms, or ashes. When one is too agitated to the bodily conception of life, he is certainly not very intelligent. Ashasannasyatasya dhruvam unadachetasa maya shoshaka indrasya bhuyadyena suto hime. Diti thought, Indra considers his body eternal, and thus he has become unrestrained. I therefore wish to have a son who can remove Indra's madness. Let me adopt some means to help me in this. Purport: one who is in the bodily conception of life is compared in the Shastras to animals like cows and asses. Diti wanted to punish Indra, who had become like a lower animal. Iti bhavena sabhartur achacharak sakrit priyam shushrushayanuragena prashrayena damena cha bhakta paramaya rajan manogyarval gubhasitai jagraha bhavagya sasmita pangavikshanai. Thinking in this way, with a desire for a son to kill Indra, Diti began constantly acting to satisfy Kaśyapa by her pleasing behavior. O king, Diti always carried out Kaśyapa's orders very faithfully as he desired, with service, love, humility, and control, with words spoken very sweetly to satisfy her husband, and with smiles and glances at him. Diti attracted his mind and brought it under her control. Purport: when a woman wants to endear herself to her husband and make him very faithful, she must try to please him in all respects. When the husband is pleased with his wife, the wife can receive all necessities, ornaments, and full satisfaction for her senses. Herein this is indicated by the behavior of Diti. Evam Sriya Jari Bhuto Vidvam Api Manogyaya Bhadam Ityaha Vivasho Na Tatchitram Hiyoshiti. Although Kaśyapa Muni was a learned scholar, he was captivated by Diti's artificial behavior, which brought him under her control. Therefore, he assured his wife that he would fulfill her desires. Such a promise by a husband is not at all astonishing. Vilokyakanta bhutani bhutanado prajapati striyam chakre swadehardam yaya pungsam matirhita. In the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma, the father of the living entities of the universe, saw that all living entities were unattached. To increase population, he then created woman from the better half of a man's body, for a woman's behavior carries away a man's mind. Purport: this entire universe is going on under the spell of sexual attachment, which was created by Lord Brahma to increase the population of the entire universe, not only in human society, but also in other species. As stated by Rishabhdev in the 5th canto, Pungsa Striya Mituni Bhavam Etam, the entire world is going on under the spell of sexual attraction and the desire between man and woman. When man and woman unite, the hard knot of this attraction becomes increasingly tight, and thus a man is implicated in a materialistic way of life. This is the illusion of the material world. This illusion acted upon Kaśyapa Muni, although he was very learned and advanced in spiritual knowledge. As stated in the Manu Samhita 2.2.15 and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 9.19.17. Matra svashra duhitra va na viviktasano bhavet balavan indriya gramo vidvangsam apikarshati. A man should not associate with a woman in a solitary place, not even with his mother, sister, or daughter, for the senses are so strong that they lead astray even a person advanced in knowledge. When a man remains in a solitary place with a woman, his sexual desires undoubtedly increase. Therefore, the words ekanta bhutani, which are used here, indicate that to avoid sexual desires, one should avoid the company of women as far as possible. Sexual desire is so powerful that one is saturated with it if he stays in a solitary place with any woman, even his mother, sister, or daughter. Evam shushrushitas tata Bhagavan Kaśyapa striya Rahasya Parama Prito Ditim Aha Binandyacha. My dear one, the most powerful sage Kaśyapa, being extremely pleased by the mild behavior of his wife Diti, smiled and spoke to her as follows. Shri Kaśyapa uvacha varam varaya va moru pritaste taham anindite striya bhartari suprite kakama ihachapkama. Kaśyapa Muni said, O beautiful woman, O irreproachable lady, since I am very much pleased by your behavior, you may ask me for any benediction you want. If a husband is pleased, what desires are difficult for his wife to obtain, either in this world or the next? Patireva hinarinam daivatam paramam smritam manasa sarva bhutanam vasudeva shriyapati sa eva devata lingar namarupa vikalpitai ejyate bhagavan pumbhi stribhishcha patirupatrik. A husband is a supreme demigod for a woman. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vasudeva, the husband of the Goddess of Fortune, is situated in everyone's heart and is worshipped through the various names and forms of the demigods by fruit of workers. Similarly, a husband represents the Lord as the object of worship for a woman. Purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9.23, Ye pranya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvita tepi mam eva konteya yajanta vidhi purvakam. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. The demigods are various assistants who act like the hands and legs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is not in direct touch with the Supreme Lord and cannot perceive the exalted position of the Lord is sometimes advised to worship the demigods as various parts of the Lord. If women, who are usually very much attached to their husbands, worship their husbands as representatives of Vasudeva, the women benefit, just as Ajamil benefited by calling for Narayan, his son. Ajamil was concerned with his son, but because of his attachment to the name of Narayan, he attained salvation simply by chanting that name. In India, a husband is still called Pati Guru, the husband spiritual master. If husband and wife are attached to one another for advancement in Krishna consciousness, the relationship of cooperation is very effective for such advancement. Although the names of Indra and Agni are sometimes uttered in the Vedic mantras, Indraya Swaha, Agnaya Swaha, the Vedic sacrifices are actually performed for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. As long as one is very much attached to the material sense gratification, the worship of the demigods or the worship of one's husband is recommended. Tasmat pativrata narya shreyaskama sumadhyame yajante nyadbhavena patim atmanamishvaram. My dear wife, whose body is so beautiful, your waist being thin, your waist being thin, a consensuous wife should be chaste and should abide by the orders of her husband. She should very devoutly worship her husband as a representative of Vasudeva. Soham tvayarchito bhadre idrig bhavena bhaktita tang te sampadaye kaman asitan.
It's 8 o'clock.
Asitanam sadurlabam. My dear gentle wife, because you have worshipped me with great devotion, considering me a representative of that Supreme Personality of Godhead, I shall reward you by fulfilling your desires, which are unobtainable for an unchaste wife. Ditiruvacha, we're almost finished. Varadayadime brahmam putram indra hanam vrine amrityam vrittaputraham yena me ghatito suto. Diti replied, O my husband, O great soul, I have now lost my sons. If you want to give me a benediction, I ask you for an immortal son who can kill Indra. I pray for this because Indra, with the help of Vishnu, has killed my 2 sons Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Purport. The word Indra Hanam means one who can kill Indra, but it also means one who follows Indra. The word Amrityum refers to the demigods, who do not like to die like ordinary human beings because they have an extremely long duration of life. They have long durations of life. For example, the duration of Lord Brahma's life is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Ahar Yad Brahmano Vidu. Even the duration of 1 day or 12 hours of Brahma is 4,300,000 years multiplied by 1,000. Thus, the duration of his life is inconceivable for an ordinary human being. The demigods are therefore sometimes called Amara, which means one who has no death. In this material world, however, everyone has to die. Therefore, the word Amrityum indicates that Diti wanted a son who would be equal in status to the demigods. Nishamyata racho vipro vimana paryatapyata aho adharmasu mahan adyame samupastita. Upon hearing Diti's request, Kaśyapa Muni was very much aggrieved. Alas, he lamented, now I face the danger of the impious act of killing Indra. Purport. Although Kaśyapa Muni was eager to fulfill the desire of his wife Diti, when he heard that she wanted a son to kill Indra, his jubilation immediately reduced to nothing because he was averse to the idea. Aho artendriya ramo yoshinmaye hamayaya grihita chetakripana patishye narake dhruvam. Kaśyapa Muni thought, alas, I have now become too attached to material enjoyment. Taking advantage of this, my mind has been attracted by the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of a woman, my wife. Therefore, I am surely a wretched person who will glide down toward hell. Kitikramo nuvartantya swabhavam iha yoshita dhimang bhata buddham svarte yadaham tvarjitendriya. This woman, my wife, has adopted a means that follows her nature, and therefore she is not to be blamed. But I am a man, therefore all condemnation upon me. I am not at all conversant with what is good for me, since I could not control my senses. Okay, I'm actually going to stop here because these next 2 purports are not so long, but we're already over time. We're 3 minutes over time, so I'll stop here. Yeah. So tomorrow, so we're nearly finished with the descendants of Kaśyapa and Aditi. And oops, I'm looking at the wrong chapter. Sorry. We're nearly finished with Diti's desire to kill Indra and Kaśyapa's reflections. And then tomorrow we will finish this chapter with Kaśyapa instructs Diti in the Pungsa Banavau, and the birth of the Maruts, and the glorification of glorifying the Transcendental Lord, an honest discussion between Diti and Indra. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharika Giritari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudeva Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Mahabhagavat Srila Bhakshara Spavati Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupanu Pariya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dashraghunath Shara Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Avishta Padata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Dandavat pranams everybody. So see you tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe. And hopefully my power doesn't go tomorrow again. Anyways, Jai Shri Radhe.